Well, first of all, we shouldn't miss the boat, because this is something, or miss the moment. No, it's a window of opportunity, and either we are left behind because we don't analyze the situation correctly. Secondly, use also the possibilities to our advantage.
In these times of fast change, have you ever thought architecture might be falling a bit short and wondered, what's next? Well, let's find out. My name is Luca De Stefano. I'm one of the founders of None, and this is Boundary Breaking Businesses Beyond Architecture, designers and commissioners of tomorrow speaking today. Episode 1, Part 2. Architecture as an industry and everything you need to know about it. Hello and welcome back to Beyond Architecture. This is part 2 of our first episode, and now we will talk a bit more about emerging trends and transformations into the architectural industry. If you're starting to listen now, I would advise you to go back, listen to the first part, where we talk about numbers, we build out an interesting context, and then you can move back here. For all the others, let's get started. Going back to the numbers you have. If you go on the observatory, what you notice is that you have quite a nice sample now. Like, how back does the data go?
Yes, I think until 2010, but don't kill me for that. I think that was my last knowledge I have. Yeah.
Okay. So that means that we have a good 15 years we could analyze through hard data, which is quite interesting. I have another challenging question then, basing on this.
But this is your last challenging question.
Okay. Only easy ones from here on. Actually, if I have to be honest, they're getting harder and harder, Ruth. But we go into speculation, so it's not anymore hard facts and numbers. And talking about speculations, I wonder if you noticed any change in these 15 years throughout the numbers, but also more in general throughout your experience. Like, you've been involved in policy, advocacy, organizations in architecture for quite a while, and the profession must have changed throughout this. What do you think changed mostly?
Well, what is really changing is I have the feeling that, especially on the topic of sustainability, it has really developed in the past and quite rapidly. And it really shows, and we have really nice best practice examples where we see that architects have been dealing a lot and in an innovative way with the topic, for example, reuse of materials. So that is one thing. And the second thing is what I'm experiencing is that signature architecture is not of such big importance anymore. It's still there, but the mindset of the young students is much more towards, okay, even let's say the extreme to say, oh, I'm studying architecture, but I don't want to build anymore because it's hurting the environment. So really, I think that is a major change. And if I would wish something for the future, I would also wish that in the architecture perception amongst us in architecture, the refurbishment, the retrofit gets more attention than, for example, in awards, than the new buildings, you know. So, yes, I think there we have to balance out for the future and also put our focus into a different direction. And I have the feeling that the young generation is really changing their approach, and they are also getting quite political. So, Yeah,
I think that's interesting. So we are talking about the emergence of an agenda that it's practical and political. It's not anymore this big aesthetic statements of architects. Yeah. Saying, oh, this is my style. You called it signature architecture, which I think it's an amazing term. It's a lot about what it does for the world, like what it delivers.
Exactly.
And going backwards, okay, maybe I phrase this differently. I share a personal story. and I would like to hear what you think about it. My grandfather was an architect and my uncle was an architect. So I've really seen 3 generations of architects going through their way of practicing architecture, but also the economical returns of the whole profession. And I see now in your data sets that on average hourly rate of a principal architect is around 70, 60 euros. While what my grandpa used to tell me is that architects were as wealthy as lawyers. And I'm pretty sure by the fact that a lawyer doesn't charge 70 euros an hour if he's partner of his own firm. So I wonder if you have any ideas what happened in the middle, like what changed from 2 generations ago to today, and why is today architecture less retributed than other highly skilled professions?
Yes, that is really a challenging question, and I'm sure that I cannot provide the full picture and answer on it, no, because I think there are really different layers in this question. But let's say I think one important thing is that at a certain point we must have lost our confidence, and also maybe even lost the connectivity to certain clients. And these are two things. And then a third point is that let's say the difference between for example a lawyer and an architect is that citizens believe, or the clients sometimes believe, that, well, I can do my own planning. I can do it on my own, I just give you as an architect a plan and you execute it, but I did all the thoughts and I will not pay you for that. And a lawyer, well, I don't know anyone who goes to court without a lawyer. No? So I think the perception of the architect and the work he does and the value he creates has run into the shadows and is not so clear to clients, to the industry, how important our work is. And a last point maybe to make, we deliver intellectual services. So it's like there is nothing, and out of that we have to see what can be done in beforehand. We have to analyze a lot in beforehand, and it stays a bit invisible, no, until a certain point. And clients nowadays don't want to pay for this intellectual service, and that is really a big problem, because these intellectual services are the value, and in these intellectual services we develop the quality of a building.
This is a lot of stuff and a lot of thinking. First, you made me think of the fact that indeed, like you mentioned, other professions were better at protecting or kind of making clear what their value is. So making themselves needed at all times. Therefore, I'm very happy there is an Architects Council of Europe doing this job for us these days, because at least that means that the efforts are going the right direction to do something like this for architects. And then second, you were mentioning the idea of value getting lost in the process. So architects not being able to perceive that value anymore in this intellectual service architects provide. Which made me immediately think of technology. Like, 2 images I have in mind is that my grandpa had an office full of people drawing. And those people had an hourly rate, and no one else could produce a drawing if he wasn't trained to make the drawing. Then the computers came and we could produce drawings a lot faster. Could that maybe be also part of the issue, that our process got streamlined a lot faster and that, made a bit of mess in the way we communicated or value was perceived from the clients?
I would say it's something in between. I cannot answer with a yes or a no, because in the sense, Well, times change, no? So let's say, and the mankind is really adaptive. So we learn new skills, we prepare, we adapt to the situation in which we live. And obviously, in former times, there was lots of drawing. Now you also need skilled people to do 3D images and work on the plan. So, and yes, obviously, quality also gets lost there somewhere in between. But in parallel, also the developments then are quicker in person itself, no? And this can be a challenge for an office, but it can also be a benefit because you need less people to do the same work, and meaning you can be more efficient in a certain way. But yes, we have to really take also care that the, let's say, digital world, artificial intelligence doesn't overroll us, and we miss the moment to jump on the boat in the right way, to use it for our benefit. Because yes, we can mope and say, oh, life is so bad, and digitalization and artificial intelligence, and we will be lost. This can be one side. The other side is, okay, but which are the opportunities in these changes, and how can I use it for the benefit of my office, and also for the benefit of architecture, and also for the quality of architecture, because that's what we are aiming for. No, we want a high quality architecture and a high quality transformation of our building stock.
I understand. So if we talk about digitalization and needing less people to do more work, AI becomes a big topic. And I know you've been active on AI as well, right? With the ACE. I see there is a running research program on that.
Yes, exactly. No, because for a long time we are, let's say, quite active on a lot of fields concerning our architectural profession. But digitalization now, since, let's say, 1.5 years, we are having a closer look to it. We are analyzing it in more depth. And first of all, we had a conference at the beginning at the end of last year. Oh, time passes so quick. At the end of last year. And with that, it was like the kick-off to develop a policy statement on digitalization and artificial intelligence, on which the working group at the moment is working on. And as you said, the study, exactly.
Talking about AI, I came across this number. And I want to pose you one last challenging question around that. But there is this report from Goldman Sachs which says that by industry, different amount of tasks will be automated through AI. And the construction industry is all the way down, like 2%, 3%, something like this. While architecture and engineering are all the way up with 37% tasks automated. What would that mean? Like, what do you think are the challenges and opportunities that come out of this?
Well, first of all, we shouldn't miss the boat, because this is something, or miss the moment. No, it's a window of opportunity. And either we are left behind because we don't analyze the situation correctly. Secondly, use also the possibilities to our advantage. For example, in our conference, we had the discussion on, okay, how much of our work can be taken by AI? The pre-analysis in the planning, in the urban planning of different, configurations, how tall, how small, how wide. Let's say the options that you have, which normally takes really a lot of time. Why not getting it done via artificial intelligence, and then really to make the additional work, which is then needed to convert it into, let's say, a valuable and high quality building or transformation in a city element. That is then part of an important skill of an office. So this could be something, but it's only one little tiny bit. And I think there are so many opportunities, and each office and each architect really has to analyze for himself which benefits he can create out of it and which skills he needs, because I think it's also about upskilling. And one important element there is really to provide the technique and the tools in such a way that, let's say, small offices can use them. No, so it shouldn't be a market that is monopolistic and creates its own prices. We have to think about our small offices, and they should be put into the situation that they have access to these tools without overstepping their budgets that they have to invest.
Yeah. So we need to safeguard the fact that these tools should be affordable and share competitive advantage.
Yes, absolutely.
I really see what you're saying. Like, if all the production work can be automated, all of a sudden a small firm can produce as much as a big firm, because the role is more curating than it is sitting down and drawing. It's more about taking choices, strategizing, stating real problems, and having the machine accelerating the solution process.
Yes, exactly. I tried it once to write, and maybe this is a bit of a reflection also in the sense of architecture, because I tried to get a talk provided by ChatGPT. And yeah, it was nice. All the elements were there, interesting sentences. But I have to say it was super boring. Mm-hmm. So I had to really rewrite the whole thing and bring in my own, let's say, ideas on the topic, in the sense of putting it more in point, in focus, directing it more into the direction I want to talk and what I want to highlight. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, obviously it produced a nice paper, but if I would have presented that in a conference, everyone would have fallen asleep. So, well, you know, you have to have confidence in your own, intellectual approach to the things. And I said, architecture is an intellectual service, so intellectuality is needed. And until now, I don't see really that a computer can cover this element.
Yeah, I agree. I think I use it quite a lot. I think it's as if you had a very smart intern.
Yes,
so
exactly.
The job gets done. It's always very medium. It's never exceptional. Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it's medium. And if you don't, check it, change it, and very clearly define inputs, it doesn't work.
Exactly. And maybe for the time being, I would, see the situation like that.
Very good. So I want to wrap it up with the more general advice you would leave to people running their practice today, like any good ideas or big piece of advice to those that are, working in architecture already for a while, maybe are struggling, maybe they are thinking about their next steps. What can we tell them?
Yes. First of all, find an own niche. I think that is something really important for the future of an architectural office. And this niche can really be diverse. And that's the nice thing in architecture. No, it can be if an office is really good in participating in competitions or public procurement, then they found maybe their role. But for others, it might be in refurbishment, retrofit of existing buildings, or being an expert in certain way of construction, whatever. So I think, first of all, finding an own niche, develop knowledge. The more knowledge you create in your office and you as a person, the more valuable you are for the market. And the older you get, the more respect you also get. No, so it's really diving then into depth into certain topics. This is one thing. A second thing, we are at the moment, I think we are in a good situation concerning the architectural market. So maybe it's only also about connecting with other offices, with other professions. No, so it's not only about the architect itself; it's about connectivity to maybe artists, to maybe depending on your own profile, to landscape architects, to urban planners, and to form bigger communities. Yes, maybe also then to work together to find allies. Second thing, and maybe the most important third thing, is that we should enjoy what we do. And if you don't really enjoy it, maybe you should look for something new. So I think and in every profession you have challenges which you have to solve, and it's not always easy. But if you do it with a lot of love and with an openness to your environment, and you reflect on also impacts that are around of you, and you take them on board, then I think yes, a good future is ahead of the students and also office owners. And maybe the last point, it's also about taking care of our nature and producing, developing ideas that safeguard in that direction.
So I hear 4 points, all very inspiring. First, work in a niche, like pick your niche rather than trying to do everything. Second is connect with people from different niches of different professions to work together. Third is do what you love, because if you don't enjoy, you burn out and you're just miserable. And third one is be aware that there is nature out there as a general concept, and we should nurture that.
Exactly.
Did I get it right?
Absolutely. Perfectly summarized.
Then I want to add something to this, which you made me think of, that also when picking a niche, people can use tools like your sector study to understand how much potential there is in there in terms of market size, project opportunities. Like, I think the work you do, I love, because it gives immediate insights on what's the status of the market. You know, if you go alone and start pitching to clients, it will take you a year to understand if that niche is working or not. But the work you do at ACE, providing data like this, and there's also other organizations doing it for other areas around the world, it's a speed start. It really gives a head start, and it helps steering decisions a lot better. So I want to thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe as a fifth point, you really need good business plans, and you have to have an economic perspective on your projects, because only if you work in an economical, valuable way, the office will survive. And I think that's really important. And we don't study that in architecture in the university. So this is a knowledge that we have to additionally learn by doing, and sometimes even a bit in beforehand. So business plan, super important. Calculation of the project, very important.
The very tough, boring stuff. Huh?
Exactly. But it is to survive, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you for pointing that out, Ruth. And more in general, thank you so much for being here today. For me, it was really insightful.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, Luca, and I wish you the best and fruitful further podcast. So thank you.
Ooh, thanks a lot. All right, this was the end of our episode with Ruth, our very first episode. I had a quick chat with our team, and I want to start something here at the end of the episode. A little tradition that I hope to carry on throughout all our first season. We came up with a boundary-breaking business model, learning throughout this conversation. Now, before I get there, I want to ask you a little favor. We really need all the support we can get. So please, right now, if you're listening on your phone or if you're on your computer, just hit follow, give us a little support, or go on Known A podcasts on Instagram or on Known A on LinkedIn and interact. Let us know what you think. We need your feedback. We need your ideas. We need your insights. Share your thoughts about the episode. Please, please, please. For the rest, here is our concept for a boundary-breaking business model inspired by this episode. The network. Okay, Ruth shared 5 very practical pieces of advice, which I think are very clear. They don't need any add up. So we try to think forward. And I don't know if you noticed, but the council in itself is an organization, and it's a no-profit, but it has, as a no-profit, an operational model, which could be considered a business model after all. So our concept is the following. What if you could transform your practice into a network? An organization representing designers, uniting designers, and serving designers for a bigger, greater good, trying to align their interests or trying to represent their interests with institutions of any sort. Your colleagues will be your clients, paying fees, and you could live out of grants as well. And I think, it's an interesting take on what the nature of your practice could be. This is our first idea. I don't know if it's boundary breaking enough for the first episode. I hope it is, but we're really curious to hear yours. So reach out. We told you the channels. Just get in touch. Let us know what you think, and we see you next week. Beyond Architecture is a No-Nay podcast. This episode has been developed with the financial support of the Dutch Creative Industries Fund. Editorial support and marketing for No-Nay, Marco Mattia Cristofori, Daniela Silva, and Francisco Rivera. Sound supervision by Daniel van de Poppe for Spraakmaker Media. Advisory, Max Augustijn, Martine Chloe van de Bomen, Francesco De Stefano, and Anne Bruna. I'm Luca De Stefano, your host, and this was Beyond Architecture.